many of us in this region proud that you still have a judiciary and armed members of the judiciary that are able to do what is right for their people. We must be proud of that. We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things we hear were thrown at them. But they understood why they're on the Constitutional Court. Because judiciary, the courts must be the place of last recourse where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear that if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. It didn't happen in this country. It has happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here.
Good morning, Zambia, and welcome to today's broadcast, and thank you for joining us. A lot of you kept on calling yesterday to understand how I couldn't broadcast at 20. Sometimes the body just shut down. The last 20 days have been a marathon, broadcasting sometimes up to 8 hours a day. Yesterday, the body just refused to cooperate, and you have to listen to your body because health is wealthy, and like they say, health is wealth, and wealth is useless without health. Mercy Chola Mbilima's offered a prayer, and she wants me to read it. She says, let us pray. Heavenly Father, God of justice and light, we come before you. We come before your mercy, your throne of mercy and your throne of salvation, asking for your truth to break through every shadow of deception. Lord, expose hidden lies, silence the false witnesses, and let your righteous verdict stand clear and strong. Vindicate the innocent, O Lord. Bring what is done in secret out in open, and let integrity reign. Lord, shine your light in dark places and dismantle false narratives and hidden agendas for our country, against our country. Protect the reputations and hearts of those facing slander or unfair treatment. Grant discernment to everyone involved so that recognize honesty from manipulation. Let justice, equity, and peace take root once and the full truth comes to light. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And say amen. Thank you, Mercy, for that prayer. And thank you for thinking that we start with prayer. Today, as usual, is power-packed. I've got colleagues, P.S. Chanda Kazia and Augustine Mukoka, who will join me. You know, the versatility of Augustine Mukoka is well known in our country as a sports reporter. But see the marvel is done with political analysis in the last 2 weeks. It's been just a marvel. While Permanent Secretary Chanda Kazia is you think he's your regular administrator, regular bureaucrat, see how courageous he's been with his thoughts and thought-provoking contributions to this program. I'm eternally grateful. They helped me lift the burden during this critical period that we had to broadcast. You know, even in moments of tiredness, in moments of despair, the two, with Dr. Sampa, Brian Sampa and others, kept on supporting the program. But mostly to you, our dear viewers, who kept on sharing the broadcast, who kept on encouraging others to watch, and who you yourself, you are just as tired as we are because you stayed late for all the broadcasts we were doing, whether they were in the morning, whether they were in the night. So you are equally as tired as we are. But we have a nation to rescue, and thank you for supporting us. Zambia needs urgent rescue. Zambia needs healing. Zambia needs its restored peace. But this can only be done by you, nobody else. Let me just check my studio. If the team is here, we are discussing a lot of things together. Don't go away. And we encourage you to quickly share the broadcast. Thank you very much. We have the presidential candidate who's said to have won this election, sitting trapped at the United Nations compound. Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu are at the United Nations compound. We expect that their matter will be discussed today because we understand a leader or leading delegation has arrived in Lusaka to pursue this matter. The state wants him surrendered to the police to answer to charges of insurrection and treason. I don't know how that will pan out because under Vienna Convention, you can never surrender someone to an entity or person seeking a death penalty or such grave allegations against them, especially in the turmoil environment where justice may not be guaranteed. We'll see how that will play, and we'll be discussing that. As we lie today, two serious political deaths: the death of Honorable Mtoto Kafwai, cabinet minister and former minister of transport and communications, was shot dead by our security forces in a military raid, an unjustified, heavy-handed, heavy-set military invasion on a civilian home of a candidate, a presidential candidate, where that saw the life of Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya dead. We found something from news diggers where they are introducing a new element that Honorable Mtoto Kafwaya died and there's a policeman that was injured. Come on. Which policeman is injured in a military raid led by the commandos? What was the policeman doing in that entourage? Because the policeman we know who was in that entourage, Akashumba from service headquarters, was one that was doing civil processes like a warrant, obtaining such warrant. But there was another gentleman from OP. Another death we must never forget is that of Stereos Shula Sadanis. Under this environment, you might forget that Shula died, Stereos Shula Sadanis died under political circumstances. He was keeping, for the last 6 months, Charles Longwe. Charles Longwe has been the main petitioner against President Hakainde Hichilema. He has taken judges to the JCI, to the to the Judicial Complaints Commission, JCC, and he has sought to have President Hakainde Hichilema's presidency, and his candidature nullified because they had abrogated the UPND constitution. So you should never forget that Sterios Chulasaddanis died under those circumstances, where he's keeping someone the state is accusing that he's supporting this person who's fighting President Hakainde Hichilema. They were linking him to Gary Nkombo and others. We will continue to list Sterios Chulasaddanis' death as highly political. That also requires investigations, just like the matter of Honorable Mtotwe Kafuaya. You have the other political death associated with political violence, such as Humphrey Luisha from Kaputa, Stanley Sakala, the driver for the candidate, the independent candidate in Magoye for Magoye East. Then we have Nelson Chikumbi, the young man that was just playing a Wengile song, and the UPND cadres in Jack Compound in Chawama rose and killed him, beat him to death. We have this death, and I wish to apologize to the Socialist Party and Socialist President, Dr. Fred Membe and his team. We have a terrible death that occurred of Lavmoch Shima. Lavmoch Shima was killed at a polling station, killed by UPND at a polling station in the counting of votes process when the UPND stormed the area. The old man was 57, and that's Lavmoch Shima. We should never forget people like that. The Socialist Party have lost one of their monitors, and we have not recognized or commented about that death. I'm bringing it to your attention that that death was extremely sad, especially that it occurred right in the polling station. So that's a death to note of the old man, Mr. Lavmoch Shima, 57 years old father, who was just participating in the electoral process as a party agent on behalf of the Socialist Party. So our condolences to you, Dr. Fred Membe and the Socialist Party, over that death. Then we have people that are arrested. We understand now the number has reached 300. To you family members that whose loved one have been taken or is missing and is highly active in politics, we urge you to write to us so that we can begin to mention those people. Then there are some people that have been detained, and you family members are alerting us and pleading with us not to mention them, because probably you think that when they're outside the limelight of politics, they should not be, maybe they'll receive fair treatment. I cannot question family and family members who choose that we don't mention those that have been arrested, connected to these elections, connected to perceived support for Honorable Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu and the movement that they raised. But so far, Celestine Mukandila, unfairly treated. We have his chief, who will speak here, Chief Sokontwe, is expressed anger that the Zambian government can declare his own national an illegal alien, or begin to wonder his legal status. Chief Sokontwe is very annoyed about the detention of Celestine Mukandila. And it's just hypocrisy. For the people that live around the borders, just people don't know. Just because you live in the central part of our country, you may not know. But the people are, for example, in Gwembe, were displaced by the flooding of the Zambezi when we created Kariba. Some families are across Zimbabwe, some families are across Kariba and Siavonga. And over time, that has made them foreigners in their own land. You have our colleagues from the longest line of we share with the DRC. It starts all the way from Jimbe there, from up to from Solwezi right up to Nchelenge, Chiengi. That's the longest border we share with the DRC. And our people do share facilities. The DRC, the people across who are their brothers and sisters, have been artificially divided. Some seek services from Zambia, they go to school in Zambia, come to the hospital in Zambia, depending whose facilities are near. If in your border, the facilities are across, you'll have Zambians working across the Congo. And they will speak Congolese. They will speak the language French. Because the border you call border is totally artificial. These are villages separated by an invisible line created in Berlin in 1884. Someone sat and drew lines. And for us, you've seen Zambia is like a fetal in the pregnant womb of a mother, because the Belgian decided they wanted the copper mines that were in Zambia. So the entire Lubumbashi, the entire Katanga area, which normally should have been in Zambia, is now in the Congo. In fact, you have more Bembas that are in the Congo than they are in Zambia. If you look at the history, it's Zambians that migrated, the few of them that migrated from a larger kingdom, the ones you call Bembas now. But the population of Bembas, from some parts of Angola, DRC, and parts of Tanzania are more, the Bembas are more than the Bembas you have in Zambia. But we have this criminal mind where we've criminalized our own heritage. Celestine Mukandila provides that very clear example. Just because his mother worked across the Congo, the Chief Sokonto is very annoyed. Does that make them Congolese? These are our children, and he traces their heritage, fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, right in his village. You have, of course, President Hakainde Hichilema's people have targeted our secretariat so that they cripple our petition. So Celestine Mukandila, Kenneth Kamba, Ambassador Martha Lungu, Hannah Israel Watontola, these are part of our secretariat that have been targeted, arrested. Fraser Msonda also, arrested just because they were part of our secretariat. Let me coordinate our other colleagues to see if they can join me as we discuss these matters. Thank you. The team is in. Augustine Mkoka, sports reporter, international reporter, and Chanda Kazia, the permanent secretary, are in. We have Vauden Finde, who's been charged with terrorism, financing terrorism, just because he bought a ticket for those 3 young men, a matter that points to this young man who's now star of the public media. He's on ZNBC, he's in Times, he's in Daily, and is being celebrated. He has failed to stand by Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. He has failed to stand for Tonse Pamosi Alliance. This is the young man Zumani Zimba and his treacherous activities. We have the first 11 that have been charged with treason. Bishop Trevor Mwamba, celebrated Anglican clergy, a cleric of distinguished record, is in retirement and is currently UNIP president, just because he had accompanied Brian Mundubile to the African Union Commission. The observer mission were hearing from stakeholders. Brian Mundubile and Makebi couldn't see them on time because they were out in the field, and they could only manage a day after voting. George Kangwach Sanga, who was running the presidency and spokesperson for the president, Patrick Mwansa, the young man and spouse to Honorable Tarsila Lungu, and Patrick was doing our logistics for campaigns, coordinating. It's a huge process with Ambassador Martha Lungu and others. They picked him up, and for him, they even subjected him to torture. Totally unfair. I don't know why they targeted him, but he's among those that was tortured together with them. Then you have the ex-service chiefs, ex-service men, the so-called commandos that they are saying were they were found at the compound. We've demonstrated to you that Jackson Mutioka, Brasil Soko, and Bernard Chewe are retired. And one of them is a celebrated ex-serviceman. He was awarded, recognized, especially for the work that they did, celebrated. And we understand Shapoya, who's head of the commando unities, was very jealous of him and kept on mistreating him and accusing him of all sorts of things. And today we are not surprised that he's among those detained. The 3 ex-servicemen have provided security services to others. And they came late in the game for Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu, because Brian had lost 9 of his security chiefs that were arrested from Protea and accused of causing violence in Chawama, and they've been slapped with charges of armed robbery. He got another layer of security men. Again, you saw they were all rounded up to 32 from Mongu. So when he sought the help of these colleagues today, they are being branded as commandos and trainers because of their previous role. When there is a clear record since they left the service that they've engaged in civilian activity just to earn a living, but the 40 and lopsided intelligence that's feeding the president and the false lie of this phantom militia is that these ex-servicemen, the commandos, were training others. A total lie. We have Richard Banda, the ADC to Honorable Brian Mundubile. And you understand why I've been reluctant to declare some people dead. The closest we get is fear dead. Because Richard Banda, it became almost automatic that he had died in the raid, but he has not died. He didn't die. He obviously was injured, obviously was beaten, but he played the key role in getting Honorable Brian Mundubile, Mrs. Mundubile and the girls, and then the entourage of Bishop Trevor Mwamba, George Chisanga, Mutoto Kafwaya, and others to be taken quickly upstairs. I saw the UPND mocking that what was Brian Mundubile and Mutoto Kafwaya doing in the bedroom. They were a group. Richard Banda came when the BDRIM brought down the gate and the commandos came in shooting, guns blazing. Richard shepherded everyone upstairs. And you saw in the narrative, Brian state that there's a walk-in wardrobe where he, his wife, and the 3 kids, the twins and their cousin, ran to Wao Mutoto Kafwaya, George Chisanga, Bishop Trevor Mwamba, Patrick Mwanza, and others went to the other side, and they came shooting, you know. And you were even mocking when Mrs. Mundubile was saying one of the bullets passed through her jeans. People on social media were mocking as if it was funny. Brian said one of the bullets grazed his head. And they were laughing at that. But the only thing that stopped those commandos from stopping to shoot was the screams of Mrs. Mundubile and the girls. Any trained officer, no matter how cruel, when you hear the screams of a woman, the screams of children, you stop in your tracks, including rebels and killers. There's something about the voice of a woman. These are our mothers. We all came from the woman. So that's what stopped the shooting. But sadly, Mutoto Kafwaya was gunned down fatally. And Darius Mwila. So these 11 have charges of treason. We have Lucas Simumba, our active young fella from Nakonde, is among those that have been arrested. We are fearing for Francis Kapianga because he was targeted, and Lucas Mumba, but Lucas Mumba is in Chinsali, he's been detained there. Then our musician, Moses Ingandwe, Chester, more power. Winston Ngosa, IDC, light comedy, Felix Mangani Piri, and these young artists have been rotting both in Mongu and Kalabo prisons. They were eventually charged with some minor offenses, but they have not been released. Our bloggers, Abraham Rooney Kapia and Matthews Mwinuna, popularly known as Uncle Zubi, is also among those that have been detained. Then our security chief, Rick Chambawilo, Thomas Mvula, Peter Mwaba, Rickson Piri, they are among those that were detained initially with 5 others. I'll get the other names for the 5. Then we have people that are being detained and being released. Dr. Sebastian Copeland and Dr. Emmanuel Nkoma. Then we have the 3 young people that went to Russia, Victor Mziamba, Dixon Tembo, Enoch Mwanza. And then we have the case of Danny Yenga's security called Baba, famous in Kawata, is called Baba, Brian Mwila. He was also detained and picked up. Then we have Enoch Roosevelt Tonga. We have the video. You saw how his crime was only to ask Mwangala Zalumis to suspend announcing false results. That was his crime. And you have seen the gruesome video where he was picked, harassed, and thrown and picked to the police. He remains detained. Enoch, as one of our party agents that we had sent to Mulungushi, could not understand most of the results that were being announced by Mwangala Zalomis because there was no opportunity to verify. In the past, before ECZ, in fact, I remember the 2021 elections and 2016, we even allowed the opposition, UPND, sent IT expert to be in the server as part of the monitoring. That's how Edgar Lungu was transparent. He allowed your IT expert, if you think that there was manipulation, they sat with ECZ and other experts in the server room and in the results center for you to take note as the results are coming and that they were unencumbered. For Hichilema, he did none of that. ECZ became a territory and an extension of the UPND. So before I go to, there's another matter that the state have kept quiet. Remember, they confiscated the 7.4 million kwacha from the money meant for our party agents on the day they raided George Sanga's law firm. When they raided Brian Mundubile's home, they got money. And they have not said how much they found. They have a habit of stealing money like that. The law enforcement agencies treat such kind of money like Christmas gifts. We have to hold them accountable. We'll be briefing you about the election petition. The day is today, the end of the day. But let me bring in my team as we Tim, please greet our people and let's see how you are doing. Bachanda.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, PS. Good morning, Ambassador. I hope you've had a refreshed afternoon. I think, like you said in the introduction, it's indeed been a marathon. But for our people, we are always happy to serve and be here for them. I think that is what really motivates us to do what we do.
I saw Vachanda broadcasting from hotel rooms because he has to take his son, who's a budding soccer player and playing competitively in a very reputable team in Canada. And he still found time in those hotel rooms to broadcast with us. Thank you, Vachanda. Are you back at base or you are still at some hotel somewhere?
I'm back at base, and it's been a marathon, yes, you know. One of the things I've learned over here is that you really have to stand up for the children. You have to be there for them, and you have everything that there is for them to succeed. But you really have to have time and and effort every time. You have to be with them. It's like a requirement. It has to be there. So as a parent, you really have to plan your day. You have to plan your movements. You have to plan, But thank God that he's doing really good. He's grown in stature, and his assessment is really on point. Yeah, there seems to be a good future for him, I think. And, who knows? We'll try to whatever extent we can. So I'm back at base, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation. Yeah, so I was I was out, but I'm back, and thank you very much for this opportunity that I've been following, and we're going to have really a good discussion.
Yes, indeed. No, we celebrate your son under the age of 16 and is competing with 25-year-olds, 21-year-olds for a space in the team. We're proud of that. Let's set the ball rolling. The election petition.
To him. We wish him the very best.
Instead, in fact, well, Augustine, you are a sports reporter. You are duty bound to profile this young man. So you have no excuse. Bachanda, muba peshe, muba mpose kwa mano. Yeah, thank you very much.
No, we'll pick it up. We'll pick it up.
Thank you. Let's start with the most important thing. Election petition. The Constitution gives a period of 14 days in which this matter should be filed, heard, and determined. So far, the last day is today. It comes to an end today. If the candidature of Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu do not file this petition, if Laz and others that wanted to file a citizen petition do not, the period will lapse and literally will have declared President Hakainde Hichilema duly elected, and the preparations they are making for 1st September for inauguration will go ahead unimpeded. The anxiety from Zambians is that if they filed, my concern with Zambians, with all of us, is that we think someone will do it for us. We think that the international community will do it for us. We think that the lawyers will do it for us. We have this attitude that someone will do it for us. I'm inundated by calls. Vamwamba mliko America. Kushita mshweko wa Senate. Tapata vengaranda na wa Donald Trump. Mwabantu wa kwalesa. By now you have seen my attitude. This is a Zambian affair. Will be resolved by Zambian affair. Why do we think someone will do it for us? Look at Malawi. As soon as they realized that the election was stolen, they went on the streets. Day in, they were tear gassed, they were, beaten. The following day they came. They demanded justice. And they put so much pressure. The soldiers that were unleashed on Malawians to beat them and disperse them began to receive flowers from the people. And that was the end game. And the petition was heard, and that presidential election was nullified. I'm not being crude on you. If you think the lawyers will do it for you, we are being lazy. If you think that Donald Trump should speak for you, we are being lazy. Our lawyers have tried. Can you imagine what they've done? The former Constitutional Court judge is in the chooks just for merely advising on this petition. We have a lot of people that have been arrested. Lawyers, the first time that lawyers have been arrested for doing their job. We are still hoping that the lawyers should go to court alone to go and file. And imwena mwikala muletu mafie bamwamba bushe never filing. I'm not inciting. I'm just calling for your duty as a citizen. You voted, and most of you protected that vote. You sat at those polling stations. Why are you not protecting the results? Why are you not protecting the results? See what President Hakainde Hichilema said about Malawi, and then I bring in the team to discuss this particular matter.
Many of us in this region proud that you still have a judiciary and armed members of the judiciary that are able to do what is right for their people. We must be proud of that. We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things we hear were thrown at them. But they understood why they're on the Constitutional Court. Because judiciary The courts must be the place of last recourse where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear that if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear that if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. It didn't happen in this country. It has happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. And I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. The thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here. The battle, the fight must be fought from different angles. And the citizens have...
Tim, I've spoken. Let's start with Augustine Mukokam. Today is the end of the deadline when Brian Mundubile or any other party must file. We have seen that President Hakainde Hichilema's government have actively frustrated this process. Let's begin with you, what your thoughts are.
I think one of the interesting episodes of this period is the significant interest from people, to have President Brian Mundubile petition this election. That tells you one thing. People are dissatisfied with the outcome of the election pronounced by Madam Mwangala Zalomis. And they want to see some form of recourse through the Constitutional Court. Many people want the arguments that the opposition have placed on record. And That is what has been encouraging. And you find, a lot of people asking, have they filed the petition? When are they filing the petition? The deadline is fast approaching. I see news diggers leading with, a screaming headline: "The window is closing." There've been so many machinations to try and frustrate the process. I think, apart from arresting the former constitutional judge, we saw videos where the soldiers were deployed around the Supreme Court premises, just so the team that is filing this petition can be intimidated. Although the UPND, M23 are trying to downplay the presence of the soldiers around the Supreme Court premises by stating that it is only there for security measures, because they're trying to avoid cadres to come near the Supreme Court. But look, the presence of soldiers on our street is unnecessary. If people want to demonstrate, if people want to express, publicly their views, their dissatisfaction, orderly and lawfully, the Zambian constitution gives them that right. Why not allow the people to walk the streets and demonstrate? I like you mentioned in your clarion call to the people of Zambia is not to sit back. This is their election. They made a decision through the ballot. They have to protect it. They have to defend it. Here we have President Hakainde Hichilema encouraging the people of being encouraged by the people of Malawi. That was a good example. Why don't we put his words to test? Is he going to allow us to do like the people of Malawi did? We must test some of the things that the president, has preached from the time he was in opposition to this time when he's now, in charge of the country. Our leaders should not only be saying what comes to their mind. They should be able to defend what they said in the name of public service. And I think this is the moment, this is the right time. You can reach out, we can reach out to the international community, but they too want to see whether the people are in it to defend their processes. They can only help you when you are helping yourself. I always, in what I do and what I say in my contribution, refer to John F. Kennedy's, famous quote: "You don't look at what your country can do for you. What is it that you can do for your country?" If you are not happy with the petition, if you are not happy with the election process, and there's a petition, what is it that you're doing as a citizen to contribute to seeking recourse in an event such as this one? I think this for me is very critical. My appeal to the Zambian people is to take an interest. Do not just sit. Yes, they will come to you with force. But look, when we go out on the street in numbers, in droves, even the army itself cannot kill the entire population. It cannot massacre the entire population. As much as, they raided Honorable Brian Mundubile's home the other day, on the 14th, the army commander is not insulated. He does not have immunity. And we are studying his actions because he has to be taken on. What he did was outside his mandate. Yeah, they had false intelligence information that they've tried to justify. They had totally false intelligence information that there was a militia when there is nothing of that sort around Honorable Brian Mundubile. There's so much information that is there, to prove that what they had was wrong information, misleading, and therefore carried an assault on their citizens is overwhelming. And that is why, our action will not just end at writing, what we can write. It will not just end about talking about it. We have to bring some of these characters who were involved in misleading whoever they misled, or themselves who benefited from this false information that there's a militia and therefore they can unleash a battalion on a private residence without due process. I think it's very critical that they are brought to book, and there are avenues, both local and internationally, to do so. This is why Ziele must not be left to rest in his seat. He's a criminal. He has killed and is a killer where he is. He was not employed. He was not hired to kill Zambians who are unarmed. He was hired to save this country from a foreign invasion. Those are guys who are saving their own country. You walk into a home and you kill a father, 49 years old, with young kids looking up to him, with false intelligence information. I think that is very critical, Ambassador. We are looking at all avenues available to ensure that some of these people are brought to book, whether local or international. They just have to face justice on behalf of the likes of Honorable Mtutuka Fire. And the others they are not mentioning. We know that there are other fatalities in that incident. There are people who are feared dead in that incident, and they're trying to cover up. The cover up is so massive because they understand, the backlash. Already there's been a huge backlash, both local and international, on the demise of, on the killing and assassination of Honorable Mtoto Fire. So they know they're going to cover up this, and, they'll continue doing so. Away from that, Ambassador, this petition must be brought. It must test, again, the words of President Hichilema, not only him, but it also must test our judicial independence. Ours is a constitutional democracy, but this election was held in a military democracy. If such a thing exists, this is what happened. And if ours is a constitutional democracy, we therefore have to take it to the Constitutional Court and test it. Are we going to accept that every election held in Zambia, the military will play an extremely active and fraudulent role that they did in this election, where they themselves became the voters? They themselves started changing numbers. They themselves, started even adjusting figures on the Gen 20 forms. Is this what our democracy entails? Is this the democracy that we want for ourselves? The Constitutional Court will have to answer those questions in the midst of counting. Should the military start, invading the private homes of opposition leaders? All these are issues that have to be brought by, to the Constitutional Court, and you can tell why, the ruling party is so apprehensive, because whether the Constitutional Court makes a decision in favor of the opposition or not, the fact is that the detail of the petition will go globally. We will be exposed as a country. And that is the fear, because already we are exposed. That was a shambolic election. It was chaotic. Number one, the suspension of the counting was illegal. And you could see from the Law Association of Zambia, statement. You could see from the civil society. Number two, the involvement of the military was illegal. Number three, the Gen 20 forms, the amendment of those Gen 20 forms, again, was illegal. The presence of UPND cadres, throwing tear gas at polling agents was illegal. There are so many things, there's so many illegalities around this election that a competent court cannot ignore to carefully consider and make a decision. And we know this is causing a lot of apprehension around the ruling party and the UPND. So this is why obviously they've gone on to NRPUP President Ezra, who they want now to use and then, make a preliminary application so the petition can be dismissed. There are all these machinations, and Ambassador, the most key thing here is for us to have the petition submitted and then let the court hear the petition, because that is the right of every Zambian, including Honorable Brian Mundubile and Honorable Makebi Zolo. I think that's my submission on the petition. I also wanted to submit, the sad mischaracterization of the people who live in Luapula, of the people of the Copper Belt, of the people of Northwestern Province. Zambia shares the longest border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. And those of us who are Lambas have relatives both in the Congo and in Zambia. Those of us who are Ushis have relatives both in Zambia and in the Congo. But when we come to Zambia, there is a xenophobic attitude by the people who come. I don't want to sound tribal. I don't want to sound, segregative, but by the people who come from what we now call the Zambezi region, they think that everyone who comes from the Copper Belt, everyone who's Lamba, everyone who's Ushi, everyone who's Lala, those are Congolese. But they forget that, we share the longest border. We even had an issue, I think some time back, Ambassador, you probably are well versed with this issue in the northern province, in Luapula, where, the Congo had moved into our land and then we were pushing them back and stuff like that. Remember, there was some 10 kilometers of some sort where we had the land dispute, and it even went as far as SADC, and the resolution was made there. So even when you go in Milenge, Sokonto area, you will find that there are a lot of Zambians on this side, there are Zambians on this side. And now, because of politics, you must, victimize Celestine Mkandira. I think that is a frivolous, allegation and charge, which should not even have started in the first place. Ambassador, if Mkandila is a Congolese, why did we give him a national registration card? Why did we give him a passport, for instance? How did he go ahead and come up, to as far as Ziale and then finish school in Zambia? You cannot characterize people because of politics. And you come and do it during an election. Why did you have to wait today? He and Munia Zol were involved in petitioning Bill 7. They successfully petitioned Bill 7 in the High Court. Okay, you didn't follow them then. You want to follow him now because you know that he's preparing a petition. He's a key person. He's credible. He's got integrity. He's stood by the opposition. And now, because of his heritage, you want to use it. You want to use the fact that he comes from an area which is close to the Congo, and then you want to call him a Congolese. I think we should stop. It's not different. The action that has been done on our dear brother Mkandila Celestine is not different from those guys in South Africa, the Dudula guys. You want to go for people because they are doing better than you. They are capable of standing up for their rights. They are able to fight, for opportunities and see opportunities where you are not seeing them. Then you want to go for them and say, no, he's a Congolese or he's a foreigner. No. That's not how it works. You remember, even during the campaigns, there was an audio. So about Honorable Elvis Nkando being a Congolese. Somebody was even saying, no, he's from Congolese. He's a Congolese from Kasenga. A lot of people from Kaputa there, including Elvis Nkando, could even have relatives in Congo. But because he's with the ruling party, you would not, pursue him and talk about anything that may be connected to Congo around him. Because why? He's with the ruling party. But he wants to pursue. What kind of hypocrisy is this? It just exposes the xenophobia within the UPND government. We have to stop this xenophobia. Somebody was born in Zambia, raised in Zambia. The constitution gives him the same rights as any Zambian. The only thing is that he's tribesmen. Part of his tribesmen, part of his relatives come from across the Congo. Then he becomes a Congolese. No. That's not what the constitution says, Ambassador. One of his parents, if one of his parents was Zambian at birth, he is Zambian and he's grown up, but he cannot divorce himself from his tribe. He didn't ask to be born from Luapula or from among the people of Luapula. You cannot want him to be born in another tribe so that you can now consider him to be a Zambian. When he was born in a different tribe, he didn't ask to be born where he was born. You know, I think that case must be dropped because it's an embarrassment to us as a country. It doesn't, represent who we are.
Indeed, in fact, that's what Chief Sokontwe has stated. Is very annoyed that we are questioning the nationality of their own son, proud of him, a Zambian lawyer and a distinguished young politician. Listen to Chief Sokontwe.
Chief Sokontwe, informo y'abawushi omirenge district. Mbeera ndirako mishinangi ba president Republic of Zambia. Nalomba ubutira ati uyu muntu tupereni ala muntu wesu, muntu wenu noko umo takyala mwanda n'osunga omunango otesibwa nimwe ba president bakyalo nimwe ba president babera Zambia bonjame na Zambia bali muno byanda tata twalomba n'abakalamba baku immigration nti omuntu ndekeni kulomba tekupatilisibwa yo omuntu ng'agira ati n'alomba nekyalomba naye omufwayirisha amapepa ya definite ekisinta uyo mwina zange so pali Celestine Mugandira temwina Kongo mwiteko Celestine Mugandira mwina Zambia Celestine Mugandira achewe pa 20 February 1990 ikyatuulira kesi bakwekuya n'entito n'okubwera bali bwera okufuma kulya ku kyalo kya Kongo abakyaki bakwa Celestine Mugandira kuli bamaanyi bakuma mu kyalo kya Kongo muiboma lya Nsereni ikiina ly'abamaanyi abatere Celestine Mugandira bali bamusonda luya bali kyala mumuki mwabamukosha mu kyalo kya bamunga omukowo waabo benakula Celestine mwina Zambia wakumaluka kai mwina lwakula Celestine mwina Zambia uyu Celestine Mugandira ali mwana kuli bamayo babiye musonda na batata bakasoma Mugandira ali mwana wabo number 8 wapi 1990 nezitupa kwata ya muzani ikichena nderomba mwe muteko mulekonka okuipusha ikyalwa ya muntu twalomba mwe muteko kaituletotera nakukipani kiretuteke kyanipini kafyo bakateka batukire nekipani lekeni tubuulirire ekiwote kya kyalo ikyalo kino twayitalamu niwa Zambia wanese
ikesibamwanga
ekikulu afya muri ashitule mfwa pali ba Mr. Mugandira kuti mwabeshiba
Mugandira muipwa wangi wakiego mulimpikiyami
ankashiyenu ni bana nyamashinabo
iwarusiya musama mulungu
nga ekikorwe kyaba Mugandira ni banani
aho ekikolo kyaba Mugandira niye bonyine
emukwaye
kulubalirwa banyina
emukwaye
ekikolo ekindi kulubalirwa bawisi niba alamu kyabuliro bamonga bawisi kulu abakyere nina
Gefitule mfuatia wena Kongo fe ba Mr. Mukandira.
Mukandira mwine Kongo, mwine Zambia. Kaina masambio ya Kenya.
Thank you very much. Let me bring in PS Chanda Kazia. Mr. Kazia, give us your reflections.
Wow, it's really sad indeed, very, very sad. When you see the trajectory that the country is taking. I'll speak on two things. Number one is the video that you showed. First of all, I want to really, for the first time probably, agree with everything that President HH said in that video that you played. Everything that he said, he was right on point. I don't know why we have struggled not to just implement what he said. He is clearly stating the way things must be done. When people thought that they were manipulated, they went to the streets. Why are we not in the streets? Just from what he said, why are we not in the streets? Why are people not in the streets? So that the Constitutional Court should be able to act, because they will see that people are upset. He's very instructive. That video alone is very, very instructive, and I think it speaks to what he sees a democracy to be. He speaks to what a democracy should be. And it answers your question, the questions that people have been asking. Oh, where are we at? Can you get people to act? No, no one is going to act. It's the Zambians to act. If Zambians don't act, then the adage of every country gets the leader they deserve. Because the foreign governments can only end at condemning. They will do nothing more than what the Zambians can do for themselves. The people to stop the stealing of elections, even according to President HH, are the Zambians. If Zambians say, oh, this is okay, no one will fight the cause. The cause is for the Zambians. President HH was correct, 100% correct, that we need to emulate what the Malawans did. And I presume that he meant each and every word that he said in that video. The Zambians must act. The petition must go on. And if anyone tries to disrupt the petition today, then people have a responsibility to act. No one can bring the democracy that we want other than ourselves. We have seen the heavy-handedness of the army, of the police. You were giving us the numbers here, and they are threatening. You can't have 300 people arrested for exercising their right to belong to a political party and for exercising their right to participate in the political dispensation. This is what the UPND came to cure. According to the manifesto, go back and check what they were saying. They were very much seriously against abuse of state institutions, which they were alleging at the time. They were very much against the cadres taking the center stage. They were very much against having cadres in the public service and state institutions. Who can stop this from happening is the Zambians. And the Zambians went to the vote to show displeasure, to say, what the direction we are taking, we are not going to accept that direction. But then the military is unleashed on them. And after the military being unleashed, and a comedy, a concoction of errors happened, whether it was planned so or not. What was the excuse? Come up with something that has not existed in Zambia. Bamwamba, I've insisted here, unless someone can prove me wrong. Zambians have no capacity to own guns and fight. Because if they had guns and were able to fight, they would have been gunfire. They should have been fighting with guns right now. There is no one with guns. There is no militia. The militia thing is a hoax. It's a make-believe. Just look at where we started from. The first time, denial of the actual shooting actually having happened. Permanent secretaries running around sending messages, distress messages. Don't believe in the propaganda that is coming from Emmanuel Mwamba and his friends. That was what was the first line of defense. The first call you made that if we are lying here, we spoke about it. Bring Mutoto Kafaya, bring him here. Now, because you can't hide death, it's the same the way you can't hide the pregnancy. It will ultimately come. Mutoto Kafaya was killed. What came up now, the next was the Secretary to Cabinet comes. He did not say it was a military operation. He said the police, if you check the statement he was giving us, the police. There are people that ran away. We don't know their names that ran away from that attack. All of a sudden now, we have moved from the total denial. Now there is a gunfire. In that gunfire, they never mentioned the killing of Honorable Mutoto Kafaya. They move now from the Secretary to Cabinet. Now security wings come together and they say, oh, wait a minute. There is now someone who was shot, who they unidentified. Do they understand how insulting, how that looks, how that insulting, and how that looks dumb? How dumb that is to say you can call a person who's a cabinet minister, a member of parliament for some time. That's unidentified. So from social media, therefore now we bring the family to come and identify that it is Mutoto Kafaya. Then you go ahead and say, oh, the snipers were trained in elusive this. You explain how a commando is trained. That's an explanation. You're explaining to who? Three. There were three there that have been mentioned. And then the next thing, Mutoto Kafaya is dead. Then now you come and say, oh, let's now think about it. There is now a evidence, military grade weapons. You go and describe everything that you have procured for your military. And then you say that is what we have. Where was this evidence? Now they can't place evidence. They cannot place this evidence at the residence of President Honorable Mundubile, President Mundubile. They can't place that evidence there because it becomes difficult to do it. It remains a fairy tale. Oh, we had military grade weapons. Meanwhile, there's a militia who's training. They bring in now Findlay to create an illusion of having to be financed. Findlay does not say, I didn't buy the air ticket. So buying the air tickets for people to go and train in security system is now financing terrorism. When did NRPUP create even one instance of violence, even beating one? When did President Mundubile even one time speak about hating anybody? When did we hear Vice President Makebi Zulu talking about harming any Zambian? They called for peace through and through. Even when they were being beaten, even when they were being harassed, the Karufianas were there. Who are the militias then? Someone who goes into the polling station, disturbs the polling station, a protected constitutional activity, he disrupts it. Then you switch the militia and throw to the person that is being harassed and say, oh, we have evidence. What evidence do you have? Bring it here so that Zambians can see it. Questions are not sabotage. Accountability is not treason. And national security is not a license for impunity. This is impunity that was done. The evidence has never been given here. People keep getting picked. Now the issue comes to let's petition the elections. What happens? You send the soldiers first. They go and surround. The next thing, the very people that were supposed to protect the democracy are the ones that say, oh, now we move away. We have endorsed it. We are now conceding defeat. We are moving out of the petition. If you put 1 + 1, you're not going to get 5. It's 2. Now, these people that have come up are so good. Let's see if the petition does not go through and these people are not given positions. President Hakainde Hichilema, don't give them positions. Let's see if they will still support you to the same degree, because they say you did it very well. Don't give Nevas Mumba a position. Don't give this person whether PUP a position. Don't give them positions because they say you are doing very well, and see if they will stand by you again. And if they change how they're going to face the Zambians after they do that. They're doing it because they want to destroy our democracy. And don't allow it to be, this democracy to be destroyed under a watch. Let the petition go through. Let the court sit down and make a decision on it. You will set a very good precedence as well. That despite what has happened, you allow the process of petition to go through. The issue of bringing Celestine Mkandila and giving him this alien tag. How did we become so primitive? Why are we going back into the 90s when Kaunda was told to be Malawi, the Chiluba was told to be Congolese? Remember, guys, you remember. This is not new to you. Should the UPND members of parliament, ministers come and suffer the same way? We evolve. I come from the northern part of Zambia, Mbala. I have relatives in Tanzania today. They live in Tanzania. You go there, you find the Simusoko, where you find it. It is across Tanzania and Zambia. To come and start labeling a person who has been with you all his life. And then you pick it, even when you know. It's not right. We have to get traditional leaders to come and justify somebody when we have documentation. Please, leave Mukandila alone. Release the people that you are holding and constitutional. This is not healthy. People start already calling, no, let's sit down and resolve. First of all, we must demand accountability. I submit, Wamamba.
Indeed, we have breaking news, and I think we have to put this man, the Chief Justice, on the line. Chief Justice Mumba Malila and Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, Nalishebo Imata, seem to be actively ensuring and collaborating with the state that the petition is not filed in. My dear brother, Muhabi Lungu, has just, maybe we may have to call him, has just written this. High Court premises are closed, so it appears. The High Court premises are closed, gates closed, and a yellow police-like tape, the one we see in the movies that screams crime scene, do not pass beyond this point. I am shocked beyond belief. I've witnessed this myself. I passed by the High Court at 7:45, and again, just a few minutes ago, I've made inquiries and I'm stunned at what I'm at what I'm hearing, Mohabi Lungu, I'll give him a call so that he gives us a view. It looks like the Chief Justice, Mumba Malila, and Nalishebo Imata, the Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, are actively involved in ensuring that the courts are closed, the registry are closed today, and that the petition by Brian Mundubile is not filed. This is a developing story. We will be tracking it. But the premises have since been surrounded. Let me see if I can get Moabi Lungu on the phone and he can confirm what he has posted on his in the groups here. But it is very clear that something is happening. We understand from the insiders that Chief Justice Mumba Malila and Nalishebo Imata, who's the Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, are clearly determined that this petition should not be filed today. Did you pass through the premises of the High Court, Supreme Court grounds? What did you see? We are tracking the story. Two things seems to be happening at Ministry of Justice, who are supposed to receive the petition after it has been filed. Also, there seems to be some notice that like no one should be in the office and IDs should be promoted. So we are tracking Chief Justice Mumba Malila's decision to participate in this process, and we have to call him out. And we want to understand what is happening. Now, Mohabi Lungu wrote something that the High Court premises is closed and sealed. We want to reach him on the phone. That's a personal and witness statement. We hope that he can quickly get in touch with us. We are receiving information from Ministry of Justice as well. And it appears the Chief Justice, Mumba Malila, and Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, Nalishebo Imata, are actively implementing administrative issues to ensure that the petition is not received, the registry is closed, that they collaborate with the executive that this petition is not filed. This is the information that we are receiving across. Let's go to what the newspaper said today. That's what I invite my team to make comment. Besides, this is what the paper said, the breakfast show. The must is dealing with Senior Chief Muchinda, who says that we should unite, heal, and work. Senior Chief Muchinda has urged for unity in diversity. Let me track the other stories from the mast. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's go to the next paper. This is the Daily Revelation with a funny headline that Honorable Harry Kalaba of Citizens First said Zalumis is a good girl, but she must come clean on the disparity in parliamentary and presidential totals in Cheche's stronghold. Then the militia story is a ruse to shift state's extrajudicial killing of Kafuaya. They're quoting Brian Mundubile's earlier statement where he says they want to hide behind the militia allegation to justify the killing in cold blood of the former minister, Honorable Mtotwe Kafuaya. So Zalumis Mangala is a good girl. Wohari. We have the Daily Nation. It says EU Commonwealth promoting terrorism, says UPND. I wonder how they let this young man, corrupt accused Max Mue, disparage the diplomatic community in this fashion. So can you imagine the EU at the center of it and Commonwealth have been in the forefront of fighting terrorism across the world. This corruption accused the man that stole 77 million kwacha from ZNS, says they are promoting terrorism. Clayson Amasaka says HH wants a peaceful, united Zambia. Then church mother bodies, of course, for peace and unity. They had a joint statement yesterday, a very bland statement. You can't even know. It's 4 pages, but you can't get what they are saying. You know, the amount of fear that President Hakainde Hichilema has caused even to institutions is very telling, because you have so many critical people saying nothing. If you look at the entire statement by our church mother board, is so bland in these key and political tensions that we are facing. Maybe we'll go to that statement. The Times of Zambia, state-owned newspaper, is saying now NRPUP ditches Tonse. So they are quoting a young man there, the Secretary General, who's purporting that they've pulled out of Tonse Pamosi Alliance. Remember the last few days they purported to have removed Brian Mundubile from the party because they were the sponsors of the presidential candidate. You and I know that they are being used to write to be a preliminary application that will come before court if the petition will be heard. They want to take away the legitimacy of Brian Mundubile by saying the political party that sponsored you has disowned you and it has decided to support President Hakainde Hichilema. So that's the role of NRPUP. They are the 2 leaders, Ezra Tembo and Nonde, have clearly been bought, and they are making those purported decisions. In due course, those decisions will be challenged. We have 60 MPs, several council chairpersons and mayors, and several ward councillors who will not allow robbers to steal such a big asset. EMV, our newspaper here, we've written to the African Union to save our country, save our democracy. I've written to His Excellency, the President, who's the current chairperson of the African Union, His Excellency Evaristo Ndayishimiye of Burundi is the current chairperson. I've written in his capacity as AU chairperson an urgent letter for the African Union to immediately intervene in this post-electoral crisis. I've also alerted them that President Hakainde Hichilema is actively trying to prevent the petitioner Brian Mundubile to file his petition and challenge the president. And I think now I'll write an addendum to this, that the Chief Justice and we have to write to an addendum quickly with the developing issue that the Chief Justice, Mumba Malila, and his Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, Nalishebo Imata, are actively coordinating with the executive to prevent a due judicial process, that Brian Mundubile's petition is actively being denied from being heard, and they want a date to lapse. I think I have to write that addendum to our letter that was formally received by the African Union. I'll make an inclusion that the Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia, Mumba Malila, and his Chief Administrator of the Judiciary are actively trying to prevent the opposition and Brian Mundubile from filing the petition. We need to take note of them. In the past, I used to think the letters I write are useless, but when I see the action institutions take, we have a stake in these processes. No one will do it. That's why I like Augustine when you were saying that Ziele must be taken to the ICC. We need to test these processes because people think that they can get away with these matters. So we are leading with that the African Union should quickly intervene in the post-electoral crisis that has emerged. And as I'm informing you, I will put an addendum, a note, because of the developing nature of the matter, that the Chief Justice of the Republic of Zambia and his administrator, Nalishebo Imata, are actively coordinating with the executive to ensure that this does not take place. They are collaborating with Attorney General and Solicitor General, we are aware of what they're doing, and we are aware. A lot of you have sent me the so-called notices that have been issued. I am reluctant to comment on those or put them on display on this program. I want to verify. But what I can verify on this program is that the Chief Justice, Mumba Malila, and Alisheboy Mata, the administrator of the judiciary, are collaborating with the executive to prevent this petition from taking place. Is there any newspaper we have left? I think News Diggers, where is it? Where is the News Diggers? Yes, News Diggers is saying the window is closing. And of course, they are discussing the same window we are talking about. The day ends today, and if there's no petition before court, President Hakainde Hichilema will be deemed to have been duly elected, and the other processes will kick in. There's a silly statement, you must have seen the video on Prime TV, where Winter Kabimba is saying there would be war if Brian Mundubile was elected. In his weird tribal and partisan support for the UPND, Winter is alleging, and Tim, let me bring you in, because that statement was very, very strong by Winter. Winter is alleging that if Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu were elected, there'll be war in our country because of the amount of people that do not want anyone from PF or associated with the PF to come back to power. That's a narrative they've been peddling. You've heard it in the president's remarks. You've heard it in others, that we will not allow them to come back. Now, my question is very simple. If those assertions are true, Mr. President, why did the people of Southern Province not turn up to vote? Only 30% turned up to vote. Why did they shun if you have successfully done your 5 years? If you are such a marvel of a leader for our country, why is Southern Province recording the lowest voter turnout? Ignore the manipulated one, that Mwangala Zalomis and that team. Why did Brian Mundubile win this election? Why did many Zambians vote for him if what Winter Kabimba is saying is true? Who are those who would have risen and caused war? Here you are, you have stolen an election and our people remain peaceful. Who are those Zambians if Mundubile won, would have risen and caused war? Who are those Zambians? Who? Maybe Ziele. Yeah, maybe that's what you mean. But our people, even in the face of this grand theft of their votes, they remain peaceful. You've seen our frustration here, that look what Malawans did. Our people remain peaceful. And so, who are those that Winter is talking about? He's so careless. And you know, he hides under cover like he's an intellectual, well-read, but he spews just dirt, you know, because of his narrow and parochial interest that he promotes. Family, your comments on the newspapers and the highlight I brought to Winter. Naamkule Mbakalate Yaba Chief Justice. I want that received quickly.
Go ahead. Oh.
You are muted. You are muted, Augustine.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, please proceed. That letter is needed as soon as possible. I mean, why would the judiciary be running away from receiving, a petition or submissions in court? Where has this decision come from suddenly? You find that people don't want to work today. Why would they be paid at the end of the month? I mean, how many holidays do they want? They want to be stealing taxpayers' money by creating unnecessary holidays. Today is a working day at the judiciary. People must work. I mean, people must receive applications. the system must continuously, be on the move. You just can't allow people to go on holiday unnecessarily like that. I hope the Chief Justice, rescinds this decision. Very strange decision. I'm told, the courts are sealed off, and it's pretty much a dead end there. So I'm not too sure why people would be, so agitated. I mean, it's every Zambian's right to challenge a petition and to challenge an election. And if they want to challenge it, why not allow them? Let the Constitutional Court hear any Zambian who has grievances over this election. They have every right to make that submission, and it shouldn't be stopped. Not at all. We're looking at various issues, but most of them centering around the election from the newspapers. The News Diggers itself leading with the story about the window closing. I think there's a lot of attention to this matter, and denying the opposition or those that want to petition an opportunity to be heard is against the Constitution of Zambia. The Chief Justice, as a custodian of one important arm of government, which is the judiciary, should rise above above board and ensure that Zambians are given adequate access, to the judiciary, where they would seek recourse in an event such as this one. I hope the window doesn't close without the petition being admitted. It will be scandalous, and the Chief Justice is a man, of very good repute. He has, a credible track record. I don't know why he should subject his reputation of so many years, to a minute of distraction. It shouldn't be the case. He has to make sure that he, does his job correctly, and doing his job correctly is giving access to all of us to the judiciary, as it were. To save our democracy, I think there's a good approach. We need to continue writing those letters and reaching out to the international community to ensure they help us resolve our issues. If we cannot do them on our own, we must reach out to third parties. The African Union is one such party that we ascribe to, and has a mandate to assist us resolve these issues. There was also, I think, a lead story, should be in the Daily Nation, about Max Mue, alleging that EU and Commonwealth are supporting terrorism. I think the excitement of Max Mue must be tamed by the UPND. Being a party spokesperson doesn't mean you can spew any garbage to the public. You have to be measured. There's diplomacy that is required in dealing with these organizations. I think the EU and Commonwealth both are way above Simue's pay grade. Simue's focus should be on ego milling and the FRA, where he's doing business. In terms of diplomacy for the country, that is above his pay grade. He cannot be a loose cannon that subjects the reputation of our country to such ridicule. First of all, the EU and the Commonwealth cannot support terrorism. If there is anyone who is a terrorist at the moment in Zambia, it's Mr. Kainde Hichilema. Why do I say Mr. Kainde Hichilema is a terrorist? He unleashed a full battalion of soldiers into a private residence, where, among others, were 12-year-old children. Now, when you unleash, an elite team to go and spray bullets in somebody's home, and they kill in the presence of 12-year-old, what can we call you? that is terrorism. That amounts to instilling terror, fear in people. And whoever does such a thing qualifies to be called a terrorist. In this case, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is a terrorist because his terrorism at a private residence where he killed, where he killed, he issued orders for the killing of Honorable Kafwai. Ziele too is his agent in this terrorism. So if Max Mue wants an example of a terrorist, he cannot go further than his party president, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, because that action, of sending soldiers in that community, Kudu Road, making it look like a battleground, making it look like, he had sent people to commit suicide, bombs, those commandos that were sent at the direction of the commander-in-chief himself, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. That amounted to terrorism. You terrorize the people around that area. People are traumatized. People can't believe what they saw. I was, exchanging a few days ago notes with somebody who saw it for themselves. This person was coming from wherever they were coming from, and they found that there was a sea of soldiers. They attempted to get a video of what was happening. Before long, somebody from within that battalion saw them getting a video. They got that phone of theirs, smashed it on the ground. And this man was, the way they were explaining the ordeal, you could even feel the terror in them. You could even feel the fear in them. And if we want to point to terrorists, those that sent those men in uniform to go and cause that chaos in a private residence of an opposition leader, where they even killed not one person. There is more than one person that is feared dead in that raid. So those are the people that you call terrorists. I think the EU, the Commonwealth have a mandate. To talk about these issues. They have a mandate to intervene. They have a mandate to lobby. They have a mandate to bring peace in our country, because what happened was a recipe for anarchy. It doesn't promote peace at all. If the likes of Smue appreciate, if there are people with an ounce of gratitude, you should remember that the Commonwealth played a key role in negotiating an end to that the treason charge that was slapped on Mr. Hakainde Hichilema while in opposition. Madam Patricia from the Commonwealth was in Zambia on a regular basis during that period. She took it upon herself that she needed to negotiate. She needed to bring peace. She needed to bring, understanding between the opposition and the ruling party at the time. So if Simue has an ounce of gratitude, it is to the Commonwealth that today his party is in power, because the Commonwealth played a significant role in negotiating, in bringing harmony between the then ruling party and the then opposition. So you cannot be that careless, Mr. Small, and start branding EU and the Commonwealth what they are not, because that's not what they are. We know which organizations are terrorist aligned, and EU as well as Commonwealth are not one of them. So that's basically that. And also, I did see another headline, I think in the Daily Revelation, President Harry Kalaba urging the Electoral Commission of Zambia to reconcile the figures between presidential and parliamentary, to even discuss this electoral commission is somewhat a waste of time, because what we saw was not an election. Madam Mwangala Zalomis, whatever she was doing with her team was a disgrace in my view. We've never witnessed that, and we should never witness such a thing. So to even ask them to reconcile, I don't think they'll be happy to do that, because what they presented to us was the theater that they wanted to give our country. You know, they read results without verification. They didn't want to be questioned. They were just skimming through the process as if, you know, people had no questions around the announcement. Very, very unfortunate. I do not think up to now they have declared the Mandevu parliamentary election, because, you know, they are failing. Look at how they stole the mayoral race from Gabriel Kibombwe and gave it to this man in Sit Market. You know, look at how they stole the election in Chawama and gave it to Ngandu. Look at how they stole the election in Matero and gave it to Alexander. These people didn't win the election, but they were being given parliamentary seats as if they are biscuits or something, and you call that an election or an electoral commission board or whatever it is. I mean, that composition is a sorry sight. They don't deserve to be in those positions. I think their participation in scandalizing our democracy, you know, is going down in the history as one of the worst moments of our time. Again, we come back to another headline on Brian Mundubile saying the raid was a ruse, was a scapegoat of some sort. That was the lowest moment of our political life. I think it should never happen. It should never happen. Acting on flawed intelligence information provided by Brigadier General Shapwaya, and you know, and all those characters who didn't know what they were doing. It was a botched operation. It's left a dent on our country, and the people, you know, that have participated in it will have to, you know, to face the consequences of their action. It's a disaster. You know, it's a disaster. You cannot do what they did, and I think they wanted to create this moment so that they can steal the election. You know, justify the stealing of the election, because they know that in the eyes of the international community, when you say militia, when you say, you know, there was an attempt to overthrow the country illegally, then they will get the support. So that is the scapegoat that they wanted to use to hide in the term militia. But look, militia of 3 commandos, come on. Militia of 11 people, 12, 15 people. How? You cannot have a militia is a battalion. It's a huge. It will be a huge you know, organization, not just people who are having tea. People who were not armed. Then you go and say no, they were armed and there was exchange of gunfire when there was nothing of that sort. You know, it is because you wanted to steal the election. It is because you had stolen the election. You saw that you were losing, and now you had to create a story to justify the theft. That is wrong.
Thank you, Augustine. Thank you, Augustine. Dear viewers, thank you for all those that are watching us. Kindly share the broadcast. We are tracking the news from the Supreme Court grounds that the Chief Justice Mumba Malila has ordered the closure of the courts countrywide. We now can confirm that Chief Justice Mumba Malila has ordered the closure of the courts countrywide. Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, Ms. Nalishebo Imata, has issued those directives. They've decided to prevent leading presidential candidate Brian Mundubile from filing his presidential election petition. We also can confirm that Mumbamalila and Nalishebo Imata, Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, are collaborating with the colleagues at Ministry of Justice, in effect the executive, in stopping the courts from receiving the petition, and totally unprecedented. And this is similar to what ECZ did. Brian Mundubile was leading in vote count across the country, and ECZ closed for that 6-hour period, which I think even came to 12 hours. Illegally, ECZ stopped the vote count, and they alleged that there was national security at threat because their polling station were invaded by Kalufianya, by the way. Kalufianya invaded in Matero, in Chipata Chaisa, and in Dilanda. They said they are closing the polling station, the vote count, because of national security. In that 6 to 12 hour window, we know what happened. They brought the stuffed ballots, swapped the stuffed ballot, and also gave the opinion for the military to invade the totaling centers. On record, and all observer missions have noted what happened in that 6 to 12 hour window. We are seeing the same with Mumbamalila, Chief Justice and Administrator of the Judiciary, Ms. Nalishebo Imata. They've issued directives that the courts are closed for today because of concerns of security. Clearly, they do not want the opposition or citizens to file the petition, as today is the last day. That's a story we are tracking today. This is a developing story. We were reluctant when those memos began to fly. That's why you saw I went behind the scene and began to make calls. I can confirm here that the Chief Justice Mumbamalila and the Chief Administrator of the Judiciary have closed the courts countrywide. They're trying to prevent a petition to be filed by Brian Mundubile and any citizen or any other petition. They are collaborating with the executive, the officials from Ministry of Justice. Chanda Kazia, your thoughts about what the papers say, or even this story we are tracking?
Yeah, I'll start with the story that we are tracking. What a shame, Ambassador. What a shame, because these are colleagues that will be, if they are going to be swearing, the swearing ceremony, they'll be saying they are swearing to protect the Constitution. Really? This would be mockery, a very big mockery. Imagine you are a person of distinguished character, and then you're invited to this inauguration, and you show up, and you sit, and be very happy that you're seeing an inauguration that is for the best interest of the Zambians. Really? Really? How can you close the wheels of justice? Close. Now, there's this action they've taken. They are saying that we close so that we can do the swearing in line with the Constitution. So closing the courts, the entire country, is right, so that the petition cannot go in. Is that the democracy that we are creating? This level of arbitrary actions is very destructive to our country. Extremely destructive. I can't still wrap my finger around knowing that the man that I've respected for all the time, Chief Justice Malila, would do that. I can't believe that. Because if you look at his track record when he was at the Human Rights Commission, oh my goodness. When they appointed him, I was like, wow, this is a man made of steel. But then, kusanga fe muntu fenomba. This level of manipulation is not right. You can't manipulate the judiciary like this. You close the wheels of justice completely. You know, closing the courts is not like just closing any other building. It's not like you just wake up and close a bedroom. No. We must know why. Is there a security operation in place? Is the court proceeding affected? Is it a crime scene? Who ordered the closure? But we know it's a Chief Justice. This institution where liberty is defended, government power is tested in that building. And the citizens seek justice in that building. The buildings that you've closed, where is justice? Where is justice? You thought that people were not going to petition, they were going to stay back. But like we said on this platform, the petition must keep going forward because it's a constitutional right. Now, the very constitution which we depend on is being violated right before us. We have gone into the animal way of life. It's a survival of the fittest. This destruction of the democracy, this destruction of our judicial system will have very lasting effect. Why should the entire system, the entire country, 21 million, be affected by a decision of someone who is just one individual in a public office which we have power over as citizens, the presidency? Why should one person, called the president, take over everything, every life that is there? Destroy the wheels of justice. Parliament is gone. The executive, we can't even talk about it. Now the last pillar of our democracy, judiciary, is gone. And then tomorrow we see now, oh, we're going to stand and saw in a new president who is going to defend the constitution. Are you sure that after the swearing in, the president is going to defend the constitution? Or it will be defending of he himself and the people that surround him? And when you see the people surround him, it brings me back to the Daily Nation, where Marx can call the EU and the commons that are supporting terrorism and still go scot-free. Does he understand the impact of his words? If they are going unabated from government, the entire government system is quiet when Marx can say such words. How is he going to face this international community when he goes to the UN, to the EU? How is he going to face the same terrorists that you think they are promoting terrorism because they are holding our country accountable for international standards? They are not just holding our government to the national standards. They are holding accountable our government to international standards of democratic principles and etiquettes. Now, you have Max Mue discrediting the relationship that the country has with all the EU, the UN, and meanwhile, they are financing you. The budget balance of support comes from the European Union. How many programs are these terrorists that you're talking about financing? Control you. But they seek to hold countries accountable to things that we have signed for. Does Max Mue understand all that? Tell the Max Mue. Max Mue has been a very big problem for the UPND. The problem is that he has answers for everything. Everything. He has answers on everything. Whenever we talk about the economy, they will talk the law, they will talk what, they will talk everything, everything. He has to respond. And at times with a shallow kind of depth, he's never worked in government, doesn't know how the government system works. You have the Foreign Affairs Ministry, it has not ceased to exist. The permanent secretary in Foreign Affairs, he is there. They are there. Are they endorsing what Maximo is saying? How do we allow such people to just talk carelessly like that? The issue to do with the news diggers, no, the issue to the Prime TV. Bawinta Kavimba. I can't believe Bawinta was our Minister of Justice. Someone I personally held in high esteem. When you've been there in that position, how do you come back and talk carelessly like this to say, oh, if he won, there was going to be civil? Who was going to fight? When you have seen who has been at the helm of beating people, the last 5 years, it has been UPND beating, UPND killing. The list of the people that we are giving, the young man in John Lengo, I don't know if it's John Lengo or whatever, where he was playing the music, beaten to death. He is not on the statistics of people that have died on political violence. There's only UPND cadres. They're the only ones that make statistics of political violence. Now, if you're going to ignore the other group and you have aimed at stopping political violence, and then Bakabimba comes and says there's civil war, but you have seen who's been beating else. I know Bakabimba times says things the way he just wants them to be said. But this twist of wanting political appeasement to the powers that be and agitating the political division that we have, I have very big problems understanding what the mass is saying, that, oh, the church motherboard are saying, unite, heal, and work. No, the first thing is accountability. How are you going to heal without accountability? You want people to just move on like Mutoto was not killed. You want people to move on like you've not picked 300 people and they're behind bars. For what? For singing, for brand, for singing. Mwaikata Mwalonga. They are in prison. For what? When did criticizing government become an offense? When did criticizing you as government, you who enjoy taxpayers' money, become an offense? We were all criticized, but for me, I know that people would come to the office and insult in your face. You would not get them and throw them in prison for expressing dissentiment. When people people refuse, you can't be arresting them because they are talking. What did Kapaya Umwaichi do other than talking? What did Chester do other than...
Indeed, PS. Dear viewers, it's your time now to participate in this program. This program is driven by your phone calls. You will not find any platform that gives you as much leverage as this platform. We are tracking a story. Chief Justice Mbamalilam and the administrator of the judiciary Ms. Nalishebo Imata, Chief Administrator of the Judiciary of Zambia, have closed all superior courts countrywide. They are citing security reasons, but we understand this is what Mwangala Zalomis did to facilitate the soldiers storming the totaling centers and the votes to be changed. We remember this period when they closed. And similarly, the Chief Justice is merely collaborating with the executive to try to prevent Brian Mundubile's lawyers from filing their petition today. So as we are speaking, the Supreme Court grounds have been surrounded by security chiefs, and now there are various witness counts. And now I have personally spoken to a lot of people in the judiciary, about 6 people. They've all confirmed that the judiciary have closed the courts for the, citing security reasons. They've even not stated for how long this closure is going to take place. But we know that today is a deadline that Brian Mundubile should file his petition. The lines are open. Let's hear from you. The news we are breaking with you is that Chief Justice Mumba Malila and Nalishebo Imata, Chief Administrator of the Judiciary, have closed, especially the Superior Courts, citing security reasons. The lines are open. Let's hear from you.
Many of us in this region proud that you still have a judiciary and armed members of the judiciary that are able to do what is right for their people. We must be proud of that. We understand they went through temptations, a lot of temptations, and they withstood these temptations. Money, other things we hear were thrown at them. But they understood why they are on the Constitutional Court. Because the judiciary, the courts must be the place of last recourse where we go to seek justice. Injustices are done every day in our elections. We know it here in Zambia. 2015, 2016, we know it. But in 2016, our matter was not even heard. Yet the Bill of Rights is clear, and if a citizen is aggrieved about anything, they have a right to go to court. And any court of competent jurisdiction has an obligation to hear them. It didn't happen in this country. It has happened in Malawi. We're so proud of that Malawi Constitutional Court bench. I hope we can all learn something from that ruling, that you cannot continue cheating the people, the very people that gave you an opportunity to save them, especially in those roles. So congratulations to the opposition in Malawi, and one other thing we learned from Malawi is that they came together. The opposition came together. Here we have some oppositions that are surrogates of the ruling party who are used to abuse fellow opposition. But there, Dr. Chakwera, Dr. Silas Chidima, and others came together for a joint petition to save the people of Malawi. It's another lesson that we Zambians must learn. But more important, it's a Malawian citizen, the Malawian voter, who did not allow their vote to be manipulated. When their vote was manipulated, they showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here. They showed it. They went in the streets to express their displeasure on how somebody had stolen their votes. They did it for months on end. It encouraged the judiciary. So you can see the point here.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Umbeni ambassador.
Endita.
Ambassador ine fifin toko vya fuma nopo to Afrika tule mwana nomba ine chonde pisha ko vya ambassador nangu ma citizens be ne fino mulera ndoko batiti bayimba mwa mwarolesha sana okubala feva president we sira ine statement bapero yali lengera abantu baba cool down ya kwe bati no situation iri fe bwino mwe bantu rolere so na ngunya papa ne ambassador abantu te bonse abantu abasambirira bayishona mafumiro fo yabo na ngupali ne step ya shirani challenge abantu bambo kubafunga bayishwa we tabasita po demonstrate mwana tishamone kakunso ko batama citizens na basta demonstrate but tumasango ko bati pakwambaira nishpali abantu abasitire guidance ya ko bati bambo kusta demonstrate na bambi basta join nombanga chako bafya tito amba vyo kuyirishana it's better kwa kusta guide abantu kuringana noko tufikire like iya makoti bayisara natwatensa ambisha ko bati titwaima no kusta demonstrate pamurando wa fisha ko bati bayisara makoti country wa konsoko turingiro kutware Milan oro Milan bisha ko bati fama citizens ni fofo bayirishene ko bati amani sawo tsati tayari win so kutumwa tumwa tupera ko go ahead abakwete ko wishuro kusta guide abantu pako batabasangiro mu bwafya baba mu peaceful demonstration panta pali fimye ko twarachita kusta stand up no kusta demonstration pamurando wa makocha abayisara lero not pama election pamurando wa makoti pako batintungurushishes bashite allow shite petition so nshishi palicho ambassador cyo ngabombapo mwe bali kuma media za pusana pero na wa mashina wanu baje banda pali no nsitamwa bebako bare sitako encourage abantu fo benga chita no chukurara ndefo telefo kuchita na fira rengo ko batrepera my enemies another strategy ko batsira mu attack. I submit ambassador.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
No, Matthew. Bamomba nimba nani kane nimba disappointed why nani kane HH has to close none. I don't see the reason why he has to close none. Quote because Brian Mundubile na is a Zambian, and then is a Zambia. It's not that it's a country that was given, but it's not a land that was owned by the father to HH, and then it was given to HH because the father died, and then for him to decide to make such rules. Takwaba, Zambia is a Christian nation. Ale onoro amarules defie chalo chifide chabao. Mundubile naena is a Zambian. Adi kwa tensambu. Why, if he knew that Adi Shibokwe but Adi win, and he had a Tirananikani, Alefi Tirananikani, Ukwisalila, Inankania Kwebati petition should not go ahead because he knows that Adi lose. Alek Amule Kenankane, Mundubile, Achitofia Lefoy. Then we'll find out. Ngadi Lusa will find out. But let the law each the handle its own inankani duties. Because even him, adequate boundaries of Fida. But for him, he just wants to take us like a narcissist who pretend, who smile like he loves you, but behind your back, he just wants bad things to be happening to us. It's affecting us because we are voting for him. So he should let the petition go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Calling from Osaka, Zambia. I get me clearly, my brother.
Yes, my brother, make your contributions.
It's shocking. I just passed through like that.
Yes, tell us what you saw.
My goodness. Yeah, it's a laughable matter, my brother. It was around the 9 something. The place is closed, complete. So even other cases that are supposed to be attended to there, everything is closed. Police officers all over. Police officers and damaged vehicles all over. Yeah. I might do that second in the Vina Bongala. You see, that's why I was sent into prison. forsake that you get primitivity and you take it into the state. How do you describe this? How do you describe this? You also, they even put my tapes like it's a crime scene. They put my tapes all over. Close the complete list. Close. Right now, I want to do this. What is this scandal? He won the elections. What is this scandal? Anna win.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my brother.
Huh? Thank you very much. I'll be back.
We frame key facts to provide a balanced perspective, set the national agenda, and focusing on cross-referencing newspaper coverage.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Nevo kondande tumina po usiranga. Wamwamba apatu Afrika epara turanda muswemba kwe babemba kofirira mu nsenga. Ifwe n'abatwera okwe bati kwikale zitu sitesiri fyonse nomba sapara kwati bara tunyantirira bonse kwebena gani. Grupu yaba UPND ili sympathize within timu yabo. Icyaro cyonse kirerira ababeni dayine we dibarandire ba DM bati mwe bantu mwita active fyonse. Apo ekirera ngo ko bakyaba n'icyaro cyonse cyiswe umuntu okiresta ko submit ni nani. Because HS kapari cyaro cyose submit bantu bakotwa bena bamukwaya mu. Because rero nga bafumate nang bafune statement wa president wa Makebi zuru kwa abantu kiratwara ngati kareni apanomba email tuma amoneke tinge mechitinga ngombe honse umuntu ndesha apusana umutwe inene bone wali campaign manager kwa Anna Brown kuno kusiranga chawo ikintu cyareshika na byonse naba EU na dezanda na vera no kubapera information yonse nize noro bayishire paporing deshe nyapa munda wangu na alibebe pako apamuka nekiyongezi amanya amake bashitama nkureka namba yonka mafigali twarishita address nomba ine audio twapate kwa ikareni audio telefo apunti tukwate kwa imeni mu structures omwini abe n'abashereko batutungirire telefo ikana teni ga telefo ikapokurandisanya kweka ma WhatsApp group no kwima gatwayima bonse abantu bana mali peke bashani bala ine cyaro sara ina sonse eko mandi telefo ayo na totera mukwa.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Ronmas. Mwambe fitwa mwana mucharo twa mwana po. Ubu tekwa tapare ko bure tutwara na ngufumo. Takwa boko benge salama koti muntu na kwatama rais yakwe bati atware mira ndu koti. Be salama koti rero. Ifi vindu to monako. So ama citizens nga wachitarize be bapurema. Koza bene eba kupozingine kenani kanema issues. So if that one monako if bachita mucharo efi. Atotel.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, good morning, Mama.
Good day.
Oh, yeah, good day that side. Mr. Mwamba, I'm calling in from Southern Province. And I must make mention one thing from the time the elections, even from the time HH was pronounced winner, there's been a moment of sadness everywhere. Nangule Pitafim down and people are not happy. Kulifio Kaliakale, like we are covered, we are not free. Everyone seems worried. Ingowapito momo office. Tabale moneka happy and people are complaining. Mr. HH, you lost these elections. To be honest, people do not want you. Do not really keep forcing yourself. You know what you are instilling in people right now? mulebika more bitterness, because whatever everyone wants to do, you're stepping on it. Fionse for muntu that tulande, even our movements, we are scared. Kulifie fear. Na papa, the people do not want you. You know, even the Okatas, that these elections you lost, but you are trying by all means ukula tukalifia fie mitima every day. This is not right. There are people who are ama musicians, barisha ama families, barisha abana, barisha abakashi, abo abari uko. There is Mr. Mutotwe Kafwaya, abana bakalila shani, bakekala shani. People are crying. Mr. President, bana mutinda, talk to your husband. Talk to your husband. Takwa country ya ruling one omuntu judiciary na mwikata. Abantu the rights of people you mwalikata. You don't know what you are planting. You don't know what you are planting. Because the more people you may never know what they might do. Mwamwana. Pantuna mutu ikatira fiance, we are not free. We cannot do anything. We cannot speak. Takwa bechalo cha befi. Yesterday I was talking to one of my friend's brothers. Alelanda. Namuishira. Ide chalo chika kubabemba. Tabaka chisendepo. 100 years from now. Why? People are now made to believe that you can never put a Tonga president. Even when other Tongas are okay. But now mupenta idea picture idea. Yakuta Tonga, you can never put them. Now mushwe apanganda ngawala sungaba na wali were very strict uri mukari. Epala panganda msangati na papula abane fumo. Bamayi baje bakuchechi baje wakali bari pule fumo. People always find a way out. Panganda ngamula koma gate 18 abana mwali bakomena bakula jumpa fence. This is what now you are instituting in people. This is what you are instituting in people. They are trying to now find other ways. Bitterness, irregular. Look at Israel. Last time I have a sister in America. Kwali Trump, when we were scaring America, say Israel, de bomula mairo. At what time? Israel was there. Me, I was worried calling my sister. I was like, Iwanamvera tibaza bomula mvera Trump. But yuko kuini muletina. Israel mungatinya. Kare bambo kupomula tabatina. At Valating Gabayeva Trump at Tulepomula Marvela that we are waiting. Why? Because Kale Bambo Kufipitamo. Kale Bambo Kupomula. Aba Nabalef, Wabalech Tashat. So this, what you are planting, is very, very dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. Where you want to step on everyone, judiciary, police, and Ababeni Abantova Kamimi. Thank you, Mr. Mwamba.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
I'll remain anonymous.
Thank you, anonymous.
Good afternoon. Is it morning that side, Mr. Mwamba?
Please say what you wish to say, my brother.
All right.
Hello.
Mr. President, Mr. H, I feel shame. Yes. I feel shame. Yeah, the fact that him doesn't feel shame on whatever illegalities, wrong things which happens, him doesn't feel shame and it cannot be advised, it cannot be told. Mr. Mwamba, I'm very much worried and scared what is happening in our nation. This time around, our president is in the forefront preaching peace, but on the other hand, he's the one who's dividing the nation. Excuse me. He has divided the nation to an extent where tribes now is something you ought to know before you can speak if you are in public. I can give an example in my own personal capacity. Me, I do not come from Southern, but I married a Southern lady. And I've been in marriage for over 30 years. I can tell you, Mr. Mwamba, and the entire nation, what is happening this time around in my house. It's terrible, unprecedented. The fact that my wife supports Akainde just because of my house. Hello?
Yes, you keep on cutting, but continue.
There's no peace. Yes, there's no peace in my house. If I want to say something good about Mundubile, I'm being attacked by my wife. No, that man is a wrong man. He was in the forefront to bring war. That's why the soldiers went there, especially with this narrative the government has brought on ZNBC, where they are explaining wrong things, why they attacked Mundubile. People have taken that as the gospel truth, which is very, very unfortunate. The majority are detached from the truth. Mr. Mwamba, I can assure you, if we were in the right, a nation with the laws, those people who
Our brother's line is very bad, so let's just take another caller. Hello, caller, please tell us.
Hello?
Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
I'm calling from Kave, and I want to remain anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Speak through the phone and make your...
Twatula ifo mwandini. Kwena busereso kwanga leo tumfomwe bantu. Uchaba abantu basiere ku bantu. Nimutima washani bakwata bakateka. Mutima washani.
Oh, it got cut. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
I'll remain anonymous.
Yes, Anonymous.
Mana pita papene panankane pa high-court paliba kapokola na babi kapone squad nali mo nikuli okuli crime scene nomba abantu balela bati bali bamanani kane futhi na banani ba mumba malila na bena bayiposamo tabeshi byati like inangu nindalama ishitolanda ni blood money bamwamba abantu monso munde pida bade monika fyaba sakamana badi bonsefi elo bade monika fyaba furonachi bakalipa mwalishi bafebe na Zambia ngatwafulwa lingi tatol elo pinjo petole tsina ntulande ko nishtwala baba malisha futhi katuishi findio faninga konkanya kubati ba mwamba tapali umfuile buli mwanzeni na atufulwa which to watch their feels. I think I'm pedi apa pene ba mwamba.
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Lelo inecho ninganga fecha kwebati abantu balikwata Bible yabo Bible bakwa yabo fie ya muntu ngulishibwa kwabene emo balemba fiance yonse ama plans babika muri Bible yabo tona ngulifine tulela ndapo fintu fimo eba plana nakale. So if a number we are talking from the revision don't say lichita plan bad kwata Bible iyabo ifo ningalanda ifo tuisa mkulanda nishibena fiance na panga ya ifo tuisa mkulanda nishibena na beshwe fya kuchita pero cho ningalanda fecha kwebati insta ya shala kwe awe lekeni tupange kwechongo takwa wokuisalama koti takwa bachaka nechalo chonse so nombapa kuima please abaliko kaire abantu abamenye n'abengisha abantu bonse mu kifungo n'abengisha abantu bonse mu kifungo so kanshi kwima tutapali ne chinapa ngafira chiranda ba mkonge kwe bati tamwale sambilisha abantu bantu ifo fwe bantu bali tutolo kwe bati twali ba aba bwino namba tabale tusambilisha kwe bati ifiri ne abantu abeshi namba ababene aba kadi.
Oh, the line got cut. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Indira ya mushi tabayashikira.
London poyam.
Mwabuka shanika na besa.
Mkani.
Nabonso muri na mupane. Ninkwata fiye pusho. Kamulando limbutu batu afuirisha ko kukwatira tinga kwato kukosereshiwa. Bandu waptire chalo chesu nachimonekano kumoneka kutira tinachivola. Mkwai nachivola judicial system, judiciary na ivola pakwa polisi na kwena kulifyo bufufu ndungu. Waisa mwana nonko ama soldiers waisa sangu wako mbia shiria my elections. Mkwai. So ichi pusho tukwete nichi. Apa fwebe ngi natwa mboku monokutira ati ayama elections tayari free and fair. Fwebe ngi natwishwa echirengere tuirishanye ukutira tubutukire kuma courts mkwayo kwechita file in that petition. Na pali chotwa monoko ba mumba malila na angula ba koti waisale court for the first time mchalo cha history ya Zambia. So if you're not if you're safe, fili muri omusango. Nde mfabambi balera Dr. Twinga chita protest, twinga chita shani, tutwachita protest muri omusango. Nomba kulingana nefe tuwa ishiva president wantu tukwetelero waka idechilema ne timu lyabo. Nangu twinga chita protest mu musango uli wonse. Aba umaba tabomfu akabiteti bomfu ilepo omuntu uli wonse. So na pali cho question nkwete ni ushe kuliko umbi umusango o twinga bomfi yako noti uwafyongo noti ubalebe pesha bena mundubiro kutira troni bamerisha ngani banani abo mkwayo uwa kutira ati twinga wese shamwe chalo chesu wino.
Thank you.
And Zambia.
Thank you. Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Mamba, ma shibuke mabombe mkwai.
Mkwai mayo. Ni mweba ni London ipo.
Awa patatule rumbla nation twali kukana mu Lusaka twabana kulundazi.
Mkwai London ipo.
Ba mwamba ukulanda fye chishinka ichalo nacho nauka. Umulandu wako bati ba opposition abayiminino ko bati babe ama president balipo abengi palya bati bonse n'abatalala bene bwalya bahali kalaba banomba batampa kwati bale supporta badani pule bonse abayiminino ko bokufwa kuteka Zambia n'abatalala bali fetondolo bantu nabenanga n'abakwata amaka ukuya ku koti ukuya mukudandaula lero bamalira n'abesala makoti yonse ba president bali fetondolo ababa president bali danger kuli bena beka bali danger ku bantu bali danger ku chalo bali danger bantu baleona ole chalo balelolesha n'amenso yabo efyo baleti tefi bamwamba fika babwelera omuntu nga waba danger fye kuli wose wemwine weka ishibali koti imbuto ndeshanga tayiweme benanga bali wina nishi baleti nino uko bati aba bantu bayi kukoti bena bali ile kukoti pali balungu tabayisera makoti bali opena makoti bafirwa fye beka kutwala exhibit kulya uko bati bamoneshe ichicha lengo uko bati nali wina bali ifirwa nomba benesho baleti nechikuru sana bahika indenga bali wina mchine mchishinga ni chinshi alaba president ba ichichalo mwape amasoja okwe bati konse fye twale vota abasoja n'abachingirira ababeni bakamyalukira Berenyi insambo abekala echalo bakweta makaya kulanda natukuka natubutuka mu Lusaka twaisa mukufisa makono kumishi Umulandu kwati walikwata neighbors ba UPND. Badiri abapoka mumaka kubutuka ati balaya mkusosera balayisa mkunjikata. Ekungaba kwikala mchalo efizona. Ala info ya bamtoto kafwaya. Lesa. Bonse abafire pali yade. Nga mwababumbire ku maka yenu. Lekeni amaka yenu ya bombe. Omulandu wakoba kino ekyalo tekya muntu omwo. Kino ekyalo ky'abantu bonse. Nga waluusa namuwonekera zona unguwikadde fye ku maka fye pampando. Awe ekikyalo kireya kuboona bushi. Ekikyalo twaona olafu ebeni beeka bakaunda balirandire. Leero kwabula amatwi twayimwena fu ebeni beeka. Bamamba.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us and make your contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Ambassador Mapa, good morning.
Good morning.
Anonymous.
Landeni to anonymous.
Uyu muntu alirusa. Tirini gemu tetwisala amakoti alirusa. Bamwamba. Ifwe bamayo baletu papa 1964 baletulaalika mu kiwulu. Bale baletulaalika mu kiwulu tabalandira ati tukesa mukulata bantange ife bala tutabantansha okwabula okukwatana okutontonga n'okutisha kino ekyalo kino mwali bana abantu abakalamba abalwishisha obuntungwa okukana kwata respect ya kyalo tefisuma ife balekita bakaleterera n'abaana abalafyalwa bekalefye kuti balirusa badifula okushimingisha kwati balirusa tefo kifiri okuba ifo tuli bena Zambia tula pepa tufule twakwata ekyo tulefwaya notukakira ku munono olubango balirusa bakabola alaba Mundubile bali wina nombe kyo bale bafyengera nkinshipa kuti besali amakoti twalifu wakatwate mwawe Mukwaita tufutwakira fati nefo tulandepo opamonge fo tulemo no fo tuleikala tatuleikala bwino tatwakwata amayilandire mu kyalo bonse tuleti n'okutukaka tuleti n'okutwipaya tukaya kwi bantu twalisalira kyalo kya Zambia lesadisho kuti natube muri kino kino tukakwate n'omutende lesa mipale mwikali omutende mubombe n'omutende amen.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Okay. Good morning, Ambassador. Okay,
good morning.
This is Teska calling from Matero.
Matero Landenipo.
What is happening in this country is bad. You know, you are the very people now who can give us the direct. Because us in this country are very much ready to do just a peaceful protest. So now, when the matter reaches to the ICC, International Criminal Court, I think it must pass through stages. Now, the only stage that we, the people, we, the citizens, expected to follow, they've hindered it. So now, be quick, do it very quick so that maybe you can just report it to the International Criminal Court. Because we have evidence, the evidence is all over to say these people, they lost election and they don't want to give chance to anyone. They can do whatever they want just to probe everyone. There's a second
If twachila mikali pila ati fimwate mwati kuyo banani bakesa twafwa mwe bakayafwa ni mwebo mwebene. Election petition taya ku International Criminal Court awe.
So now this is the deadline today. So now these things we have been witnessing now. There's nothing that we can expect more apart from today. So today is the day that we need to change things so that they.
Oh. Thank you very much. This is what we're discussing on the program, that people think that someone else is going to save them. Someone will come from somewhere to come and save them. When this is a Zambian matter, it's a Zambian affair. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
kukoti nga tulea kukoti ekoti ya mukwata justice nomba makoti vaisala valepiri bulenji chilepiri okwe vati mfika tuchikumano yavo valemona kwati vasova andi chikuru echo tingairira sana vamwamba ifo vene kwe vena zambia nimfuevo wasuminisho kwe vati tutekwe na dictatorship already apatwa muri dictatorship panomba 5 years twalakapita muna dictatorship umulandu waifo vene kwevena zambia echo ndira ndati mulandu waifo vene kwevena zambia umwenso eo tuwatangisha pantangisha kuli navali mupepi kula kuine kwacho vavachituva marerandano kulando kwevati nachirapita ndemona vapolisi vali pakoti paria bati ninchi vari kunchende kula kuine navapalamana mupepi mwamona tulerekerero kwevati chalo chesu chona ike kumulandu wa mwenso ndikwete ero chimbecho nasanga kwevena zambia wafetwa kwati mukasanga limbi kuti kwavo muntu mo aiperesha ukwevati yo kaya nje nchitena protest ala imyane chipamba mwarasango kwevati vakaraloresha feolyo muntu aleya eka nangula liyava polisi vaima vambo kumo muntu ulya vakaraloresha instead kuima mubwingi lya mwamono munenu vamusanzi mwaima mwamkula mchita protected ana vapera example lya vali mulya kuntu vale punda mali results varava inokishani vara vasaima valanda ifintu fishali bwino ifyachitike mulya vapolisi valimine ukwamba okulatakanya ulyo muntu namasoja abantu valetamba kati ninchimwali abantu abengi navasapota vafulani munduvile mulamwini so ichi echirerenga sana kwevena zambia twalikwata omwenso ero tatwava organized mukasanga okwevati avalenulira lintu vambishe fintu ukwevati vachite fintu kwevati vachingirire kwevati udictatorship ekwata okulatuteka fila fintu vambi mwala akwata omwenso so ifi fine tukapitemo futi na 5 years ya dictatorship nayo muntu yena twala kapitamo andi vonse naifo vene fwe valeranda pano tukava affected twalava affected uvisana kuli yomuntu ukuwe umwenso ukawadinesi muntu twakwati lero apa pafilimba tuleranda kwati natushipasana nga tuleranda lero ifile chitika pa ground fwe vambia tulava kunchendo kuine mupepi vamwamba kuti mwamva fyatinga chipolopolo chama vaye vakulashile parapeni fwe vambi mwenso tamwava kuti twana parapeni numba kuli vantu valava kwete omwenso vali mupepi kuli ekofile chitika but pali reaction ili yonse into vale chitapu so isenteke okulanda lekeni fe ofine atuteke dictatorship twamusuminisha fo vene kuli bukawadinesi bweso atotera mkwana.
Thank you very much. Let's keep on calling. We will need to release our team to rest, and then we'll speak to you later.
With primary data, expert and special guests to offer an in-depth look at daily stories. Live on EMV, I'm talking about
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Mr. Mlonda from United Kingdom.
Thank you. Make your contribution.
Mr. Mwamba, inenadishe mkuvota kuzambia. And for the first time in my life, I felt like an Indian in my own country. There is so much political tension in Zambia. People, they need a sober mind, a mature mind to understand what's really happening in that country. That's all. That's my contribution. Otherwise, it's not good what's happening.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Mwamba. First of all, I want to thank the platform you have put up for us to open up. We really appreciate for this. I don't think, as much as I am against HH, and I don't think I would tell anybody's child to go in the street. I wouldn't even encourage anybody's father or mother to go in the streets. My reasons are, we are dealing with a lunatic. We have a person who has no emotions in State House. We have someone who wants to see blood in the streets. I don't think it's reasonable for us to go in the street. I don't know how we can appeal. We can't appeal to outsiders.
No. It's a Zambian matter and to be dealt by Zambians. This is what we're discussing today.
That's what I'm saying.
Just a minute, Mama. If you had listened to our conversation today, we're saying Zambians have a belief that someone else is coming to rescue them. They want Donald Trump to call. They want Donald Trump to call President Hakainde Hichilema. They want someone from outside to resolve that matter. The election is a Zambian affair, and it to be resolved in Zambia using the Zambian constitution. The constitution says when you are not happy with the results, you go to the constitutional court. Now the court has been closed by Mundubile. What do you do?
Yes. That's what I'm coming in. We have protested before in this country. We have gone in the streets when we had someone normal in the State House. We are dealing with a bloodthirsty vampire. We are not dealing with a normal.
So Mayo, imwenso kanga ya ingira munganda. Umfwen Mayo. Imwenso kanga ya ingira munganda. Inso kanga ya ingira munganda. Is bloodthirsty, it wants to kill. So kuchitashani.
Nala suka. Ichilo ingensoka mama na insoka nga yayingira ku bwendo era wabula omukaso walayimba okweba tuwipa ensoka yala isalo mpoka ikusume ichilo ingensoka okusuma bwendo bwapela mama na ifu apanomba mano yapela yayinina twala kitashani tatukwete na plan B yonse bajaji bonse bali abayisala no batwala kitashani kumula sedi bwe alafuira panani kaninomba pabupuba bwakwe pamunguru wakwe kwa alafuira no bakufa ya mabwe tatukwete mfuti. We are not militia type of, we are not gorilla whatever they call them. No papa kufa ya mabwe lili alepita baba mweke bekala charota ko omuntu wabayeka yo omuntu ale twipaya abantu twikerosi no papa chafika pakwe bakyamano ya nyina mamoni twala kitashani yonsa amaplani aisala kubula mabwe nomba pada kwafita mabwale pita mu bana ba Kongolo mpolo ichalengere Farao kuleka abana ba Israel baye mwali kishwe cyo desakitire kwipa ya ma first born bonsyo kubakontaula ma kaya mana yali terere no balesa utachimfiwa iyo nara kitashani lepa yeni pada baleri la maliro tampeni po mwebe na Israel akuriye efye baye uyu muntu tatu peshe ero kale apinga ero bwaipaya bengi badande crazy bonke kale atampo kuipaya ukoye kutile mirandu takuri kutwara takuri South Africa tayatwafu hiyo basadi kitabatu afanya fati it's your own fault kuya votere shiru iri ndi alike ndile pona nomba ibo chine cha mitungiro kwe batimu mwala irwire nkondo mwebeni apa bawe imposa mawe mubana bakwelo kotukela kwatabana umulopa I submit.
Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Hello caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.